Ross Feingold joins us from Taipei. He's an Asia political risk analyst. Ross, before we talk about the trade and the economy, the elephant in the room, didn't mention it at all regarding this story. Surely they're going to talk about the war at some stage, Mishustin and Xi Jinping.
Absolutely, and they'll probably be talking about China's efforts that began earlier this year to play some sort of mediator role with the first there was this kind of roadmap, not really a peace plan per se, and now they have a special representative who apparently is going to travel around Europe, maybe in between Kiev and Moscow, and play some kind of role in negotiating the peace. But to be fair, like almost every other country, China will put its interests first when it comes to the war between Russia and Ukraine. And it wouldn't be right to call them a neutral party. And that's why the prime minister is in China.
Neutral observers, Ross, just see what's been happening since the start of the war in Ukraine and China's increasing partnership with Russia. Is Beijing gaining influence that might seem weighed too heavily in favor of China regarding their bilateral relations? This forum in Shanghai, there are going to be a number of sanctioned Russian tycoons who have been invited. They come from different sectors. China clearly doesn't care about Western sanctions on anyone who might be involved in Russia's war. But this rapprochement is becoming slightly imbalanced, people are saying, in Beijing's favor. Would you agree?
Certainly, there's an imbalance in China's favor in the sense that they have something Russia wants. That's cash. Now, of course, Russia has things that China wants, natural resources, agricultural products. There was a recent agreement to allow Chinese exporters to have customs-free access to Vladivostok port, which will save exporters in China, in that part of China, a tremendous amount of money. So, yeah, China has something Russia needs. That's cash. But in the way you frame the question, it just raises such an interesting point because if we were thinking about this from a distance or trying to scheme this out a couple of years ago, and we said, well, if China goes all in on Russia, then not only are they going to anger a few European countries or the United States, they might make new enemies around the world. But it turns out that in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and somewhat to the chagrin of Western Europe and the United States, we obviously see a lot of countries in the Middle East, Africa, India, and this part of the world being a notable one, and obviously China. They're just not taking sides. They haven't joined the Stand with Ukraine effort of Western Europe or Central Europe and the United States. So from that perspective, yeah, China's got some downside. Its image with a number of countries has already fallen, even though it was falling for a number of reasons anyway. But on the other hand, a lot of China's partners around the world, they kind of are taking the same view as China when it comes to the war.
Ross, very, very briefly, I mean, we keep saying it as journalists, and we keep asking you as analysts to wonder whether a conjunction of Moscow and Beijing together would be enough to stand up to U.S. hegemony. Do you think Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin have spoken those words in private to each other? My guess is they probably have.
Yeah, they probably have, and that's why we see an enormous amount of military cooperation. China's been a long-time customer, but a number of exercises that they continue to conduct, far away from the battlefield in Ukraine, involving different parts of the Russian military. So that continues. But look, we know that they'll have cooperation. They might see themselves as an alliance against the United States or the West, but they will never trust each other.
Interesting. And historically, that's proven to be true, of course, Ross. Thank you so much indeed. Ross Feingold in Taipei.